All right, we're back in session. We have tab 21. Happy to have Robert Chandler, who's going to give us a presentation on the economic health and everything the Economic Growth Department has been up to the last quarter.
Well, thank you, Chairman. For the record, Robert Chandler, Director of Economic Growth. Today I'm here for the third quarter update on economic development and tourism activities. So this will be all of the activities through the third quarter of 2016. As always, I'll start out with the economic indicators, then get into the economic development quarterly activities. We'll switch over to tourism and end with the tourism quarterly activities update. Before I get into the economic indicators, though, I did want to follow up with one comment on all of the hurricane issues that occurred and the way that the county responded. And I think something that always goes unnoticed is that type of response and that type of professionalism and the way things came together, that makes a difference on the economic development side. That professionalism, and it shows that we're a county that a business could come and feel safe in, and that they can trust that the way they're going to handle the community and also handle the businesses that are there. So I wanted to make sure that that was known, that it is an important piece of economic development as well.
Excellent
because
point.
businesses they are concerned with hurricanes when they're moving to Florida. That's something that definitely plays into their decision criteria. So on the economic indicators, unemployment rate as of August 2016, we were at 4.7%. What I'm showing here on most of these graphs will be a 10-year record. So you can see this goes back to August 2006. 4.7 is one of the lowest rates that we've had in the last 4 or 5 years. Actually, it's one of the lowest we've had in the last decade. You can see from 2012, we're at 9.2%. You see that number continuously drops. The historical average in Lake County is about 5%, so we've been below that average for quite a few months now. When you compare that to the region, you can see Seminole County on the left there is at 4.2%, Orange County at 4.3%, Lake County is at 4.7%. We've been trending below the state average, which is really the benchmark that I like to look at to determine how the health of our job market is working. And we've been below the Florida market for a number of periods here, and then Osceola County at 5%. Looking at employment growth, again, this is the year-over-year employment growth. So this takes out the seasonality to let you know on a year-to-year basis how is employment looking in Lake County. Again, employment are people that live in Lake County that have a job. So these are folks that could have a job in Lake County, they could have a job in Orlando. The health of the Orlando market certainly helps our employment numbers here. We finally reached 3% on our employment growth. We reached that in about December of 2014. We got up to 3.5%. Not anywhere near where we were in the boom years back in August of 2006 and through 2007. You can see those numbers were pushing upwards of 8% when it comes to employment growth. But we are at a healthy 3% growth for Lake County. And you can see we've had, since December 2010, we've had positive employment growth every single month. So that's certainly a positive. When you layer in labor force, so this is the green bars represent employment, the blue line represents labor force growth. See, labor force is generally tracking with employment. Labor force are folks that are in the labor force. That means they're employed or they're looking for a job. Labor force is tracking almost exactly with employment over the last year. And really the point to take out of this graph is those last 6 months, you can see that employment rate continues to come down while our labor force goes up. And that means that it's not the funny math driving the unemployment rate down, it's actual the health of the economy. These are the numbers that are really impressive, and if you leave with anything from this presentation, hopefully it's these next few slides. These are 12-month moving averages to take out the seasonality because this data set tends to be quite seasonal. You can see here, since December of 2010, these are actual job numbers. You can see the steepness of that increase there, going from December 2010, which is basically the bottom of the market for us, to almost 90,000 jobs on a 12-month moving average basis. When you look at the year-over-year numbers, and these are the numbers that are most impressive to me. So when we looked at employment, so that's how our residents are doing finding jobs anywhere in the region, we haven't reached that pre-recession number. In this case, we have. So this is 4.5% is what growth was. December 2015 is the most recent number that we have. 4.5% year-over-year job growth. You can see that number has been continually increasing. So not only are we having positive increases, but the growth rate has been increasing as well. And the numbers, the percentage of job growth, so these are jobs in Lake County, jobs that are being produced and created in Lake County, is reaching almost the levels that we had pre-recession. That's pretty impressive. When you look at Lake County, compared to Orange, Osceola, and Seminole, which is the blue line in the state of Florida. You can see historically we've trended pretty well with the MSA and with the state of Florida. And if you look at those last 4 months, you can see that Lake County's job growth has actually, on a percentage basis, has been better than both the rest of the MSA and the state of Florida. So again, another indicator showing the health of the job market in Lake County. Now, we've also had a lot of population growth. So if our jobs do not keep up with the population growth, well, then the job number is not quite as important. So I always like to look at the jobs to labor force ratio, which basically shows how many jobs do we have for every person in the county looking for a job. So that is a proxy for population. As you can see here, we had a bottom of about 0.58 in 2010, and we've increased that to 0.64. So that's 64% of the people looking for jobs could find one in Lake County if they wanted to get one in Lake County. We need to be in the low sevens on this one, the low 0.7s. That's kind of the target market for us, the target mark. So 0.64, it's definitely healthy, definitely moving in the right direction. As a comparison, Seminole County's at 0.72 right now, Osceola's at 0.55, and then Orange County's at over 1. They're at 1.1, so they have more jobs than people looking for jobs, which is what you would expect in an urban center. Wage growth, another positive sign. The numbers before the recession, 6% and 2 quarters there, we were at 8% growth. This is year over year percentage growth. We've really been tracking at about 1.5% to 2% growth year over year since the recession ended. But if you look at those last 3 to 4 quarters, you can see those numbers starting to pop up. In the fourth quarter of 2015, 3.84%. It's almost double what the average has been since the recession. So the wages are starting to follow the jobs now, which is something that we've been waiting for. We're starting to see it. Hopefully that's not an anomaly. It was a fairly large jump, so I'm hoping that it'll stay that high. It might come down a little bit, but if we can continue to get 3 to 4% growth in wages on a countywide basis, that's a good sign for the direction of the economy here. You can see here when you look at the same thing, the rest of the counties in the MSA as well as the state of Florida, 2.5% growth for Osceola, 3% for the state, 3.5% for Orange, Lake there at 3.8%, and then Seminole's at 4%. So even when you look at our wage growth compared to the other counties, again, that comparison puts us in a favorable light. In terms of the dashboard here, just to summarize everything, the unemployment rate is down 0.8 percentage points year over year. Employment's up 3%, labor force is up 2%. Jobs are up 4.5%, wages are up almost 4%, and the jobs to labor force ratio is up 0.02 percentage points. On to business attraction. This is the graph that I show you every time I'm up here. You can see in the green there on the left graph represents the number of leads that are coming into our office directly to our office. So they're not coming through Enterprise Florida, they're not coming through Metro Orlando. On the right in the blue, you can see the economic or the EDC and the EFI number. So we're almost doubling up right now the numbers that are coming directly to us as through EFI. In the EDC. And I'm not really sure why that's happening, but I can tell you that in the last 6 months, the number of leads that we've gotten is almost double what we've had in any 6-month period since I've been here. So a lot of good things going on. I think that's partially just the economy in general picking up. I think a lot of it has to do with our efforts, with the marketing efforts that we've done, with the relationships that we're building. So excited about where these leads could go. When you look at the leads by industry, manufacturing is the most dominant by far, as well as life sciences. And then we've got also some in distribution. Here are the stats related to all of those leads that I just showed. So we've got 24 total leads. We rank them high probability, medium probability, and low probability. On the closed side, you'll see that there's nothing in the won or lost. That's because these projects take a long time to develop and to announce who gets the win and who gets the project. So we don't have any in the won or lost. But you can see on the high probability side there, these are ones that we feel confident that we'll be able to land for Lake County. 635,000 square feet, 1,200 jobs, an average wage of $50,900. When you look at our average wage currently at about $38,000, 50,000 average wage, that's a good sign for the types of jobs that we'll be bringing in. And then when you look at capital investment, $140 million worth of capital investment. So when you look at the tax base and trying to diversify the economy, those are the types of numbers that we like to see. Part of the reason I believe you're going to, that it has picked up and that I think it's going to continue to pick up is a renewed emphasis on our marketing and our advertising for economic development. We did this a few years ago when we ramped things up with tourism. We saw good results, and now we're starting to do it on the economic development side. I put this on your desks here. This is a pamphlet, this specific pamphlet. There's some pages in here that we used for the Buddy Dyer tour, the Partners in Progress tour, which I'll talk about later. But this is generally the look and the feel of what our marketing collateral is going to be moving forward. So these are the types of pieces that we're going to be able to drop off when we're at trade shows, send to these folks that have the leads to be able to say, look, this is what Lake County is about, and this is who we are and why you should choose us. And you're going to see this look across all of the things that we do. So whether it's print collateral, folders, PowerPoints, marketing booklets, you're going to have that same look and feel. And that's the type of a representation we want to put out there for these businesses so that they know that we're first class here in Lake County. And again, all of that was done in-house by the communications staff. So Kelly and her group did an amazing job in putting all that together. On the strategic corridor side, I haven't updated you on that in a while, so just a quick update on each of our strategic corridors. The Wellness Way area plan, we're still awaiting the ruling from the administrative law judge with the CMEX challenge, and the Wellness Way roadway right-of-way discussions have begun. So the key to Wellness Way is going to be transportation, and we're already starting to see the private sector and the public sector start to work together to figure out how do we get the roadway in place. That's a critical part of Wellness Way, and it's already underway. Wolf Branch Innovation District, as you know, the interchange at State Road 46 is currently under construction. We've got a proposed completion date of 2019 for that entire system. We need to be ready for that. When that system is built, things are going to change in that area, and that's the piece where we need to be working with Mount Dora. We need to be working with USIS to make sure that we're prepared for that. We do have one PUD, one Plan Unit Development application that's come in to date. That's the property there where the 20-acre donation to the college was made. The Minnehill interchange, that interchange and the access roads are well under construction. If you've driven down the turnpike, you've seen it. That's making tremendous progress. Proposed completion date of 2020 for that entire system. You've got 4 approved projects with almost 10,000 residential units and 4 million square feet of non-residential right there at the interchange. That's not talking about the other impacts that'll spill out from those projects. So Minnehill interchange, when you're looking in that 3 to 5 year time frame of where we're going to see big impacts in Lake County, that's one place to keep an eye on. And then the 470 Commerce Park, that's the land owned by the city of Leesburg out of 470 in the Turnpike. Course Lab is under construction. That's a company that we worked with Leesburg to bring here to Lake County. That completion date will be 2017. They still have 1,200 acres of vacant land out there, and we are receiving significant interest from potential buyers. So of those 24 leads I talked about, probably more than half have identified the 470 property as a location that they'd like to be located at. So a lot of good things coming for 470 Commerce Park, and it helps that the city owns that because they're able to negotiate a little bit more on the costs. So in terms of business attraction highlights, we are going to be finalizing the Wellness Way Strategic Advisory Services RFP, and we'll issue that in late October, possibly early November. We are finalizing our Rev Grant incentive policy. We'll be bringing that back to you in December. On October 4th, we hosted the Constructing a Better Lake County Summit. We had 4 speakers speaking on everything from green development to sustainable development to how do we make sure that Lake County maintains its identity while also being able to absorb the growth. And one of the things that came out of there is over the next 30 years, we're looking at an additional 100,000 housing units that are going to be coming into Lake County. Those are the medium projections. That's not counting some of the transportation impacts that are going to be coming, which could make that larger. So if you're talking about 100,000 housing units, how do we accommodate those housing units? And this was really a summit to discuss how do we do that? How do we make sure we put our best foot forward to accommodate that growth and maintain the very thing that makes Lake County a special place to live? On August 31st, we hosted a Partners in Progress tour. You've heard about that. I know the chairman mentioned it, but we took Buddy Dyer and his staff on a tour of Lake County, gave them a presentation on what Lake County is about and how we can work together and collaborate on projects, everything from conservation to parks to sports tourism. I thought it was very productive, and I think we're going to see a lot of momentum come out of that meeting. And then finally, we presented at the 2016 Four Corners Summit. Commissioner Sullivan was there, and really looking at how do we collaborate with the other Four Corner counties to ensure that that area has the right type of growth and gets the right type of attention that it needs, and to be able to use some of the programs that the other counties are currently utilizing to make sure that we can do some positive efforts on the Lake County side of the line. Business retention and expansion. These are the numbers through 2016 for our economic development coordinators. Level 1, that's anything that takes less than an hour Could be a phone call, could be sending an email to help somebody. These are questions that have come into our department and that we were able to help. So we had almost 350 of those level 1s. A level 2 is 1 to 10 hours. We've had 80 of those. And then a level 3 is 31, and that's more than 10 hours. So a lot of big projects in this last third quarter that took up a lot of time. So we saw a big increase in our level 3s. What I think is most impressive is when you look at our community outreach events and our site visits, we're up over 1,000 for the year. So it's 1,000 different events or businesses that our coordinators have been to make sure that they're building the right relationships and getting the trust out in the community. Our business opportunity centers, the 6-month statistics, 206 distinct clients for consulting, 322 consulting sessions, and 773 hours of consulting. They also did 14 distinct training events and had 280 people attend those training events. So the BOC and the SBDC side of things continues to produce for us a lot of good results there. Some highlights from business retention and expansion. We had our manufacturing task force meeting on August 16th. And the participants reached consensus to start a Lake County chapter of the Manufacturing Association of Central Florida. So that's big news. That's something that they've been hesitant to do in the past, and we think it's really going to help bring our manufacturing community together, help with all of our efforts, Maiden Lake, the task force, everything we're trying to do to move manufacturing forward in Lake County. We also had our workforce task force where we bring together the school board, Lake Tech, Lake Sumter, Career Source, the EDC, Goodwill, you name it, anybody that has a role in workforce training. They finally got some projects out of that task force that we're going to start executing. Summer Youth Employment Program, Career Tree, Ready to Work, which gives our students certificates to let the local businesses know that they've got the right training to be able to work in Lake County. Shifting over to tourism, TDT revenue continues to be strong. We're up about 7% year to date, sorry. July we had 210,000 tax receipts. These are the numbers when you look at the cumulative. You've got the last 5 years going back to 2012. You can see in July 2016 we're at 1.7 million, about 6.7% higher than 2015. So we're projected to hit almost 2.75 million in 2016, which would be a record for Lake County. Now, when you break that down compared to the other counties around, you can see in 2014, Lake County, which is the blue, the light blue on the far right, had by far the biggest jump. Then the next year it kind of flipped, and a lot of that has to do with it's hard to build off of the big gains from the year before. But what's interesting is January through June of 2016, if you look at the far right segment, the state is actually down 3%, while the county's up 7%. So the state is taking a hit from Zika, from the algae, from Pulse nightclub, the alligator attacks, all of these things, now the hurricane on top of that. So we are seeing an impact from all of these things on the Florida tourism industry. And we're not immune to it. So what's happening in Lake County, our revenues are up, but they're largely up because of this graph, our rates. Our average daily rates were $66 back in 2012. They're $81 in 2015, and they're $89 per room rate in 2016. So we're able to continue to drive these revenue numbers up because our hotels are raising their rates, which is a good thing. Now there's going to be a cap to that. There's going to be a point when they can no longer continue to raise rates because our occupancy rates are going to hurt. When you look at the occupancy rates, which is this graph here, you can see they're good. They've been coming up, but they're flat year over year. So when it comes to room nights and actual demand in Lake County, we're relatively flat, but we've been able to sustain the revenue growth because of the rate increases at the hotels. A little bit of background on Airbnb. This is a discussion that's been going through the tourism industry. Airbnb is an online home booking agency, allows homeowners to rent out their homes or rooms to travelers via the website. Popularity of the website has grown. It's one of the most valuable companies in the world. Historically, no tourist development taxes have been collected via Airbnb transactions. And this is a problem in a number of communities, including ours, because the number of those units could be substantially large. Airbnb is currently working with tax collectors across the state to come up with a uniform agreement. Currently, 22 counties have those agreements in place. Our tax collector is in ongoing discussions with Airbnb. And we estimate, this is really just kind of a back-of-the-envelope estimate, that between 500 and 750 homes are for rent out there, which could be up to $500,000 in revenue if we're able to collect that from Airbnb. That number could be a little higher, or it could be a little lower, it could be a lot higher. So we'll see and keep you up to speed on how those discussions progress. On the marketing and advertising side, As you know, we closed down the Welcome Center. I'll have a little bit more about that in a minute, but we're continuing to research the viability of the kiosk program. As we've gotten into the research a little more, we've gotten some mixed reviews on whether the kiosk can actually work. We did bring this to the TDC, and we offered up two solutions. One would be to go with kind of a pilot program of kiosks, put them in high visitation areas. And these kiosks would be touch screens that allow people to come in. It would be basically a website for someone, but they can come in and actually touch the screen and find out whatever they need to on Lake County. We offered them up the pilot program or taking that money and putting it into a purely digital campaign. And the TDC recommended that we move forward with the pilot program, get 3 or 5 of these kiosks out there, put them in those high visitation areas, and see what those results are. So we're still looking into that. When we get the advertising agency on board, we'll make some final decisions and bring you into the loop on that. In terms of trade shows, just to give you an idea of where our group has been, we've been to the Destination Marketing Association International Conference. We've been to FADMO. We've been to the Forest Wood Cup Expo. That's the biggest bass fishing expo in the country. I've been to the Governor's Conference on Tourism. And we were at the Florida Festivals and Events Association, where our group, communications as well, won 2 first-place awards. So I want to show you these. So the first one was for photos. This is first place in the States. This is a photo that Alicia took. That was submitted. So this photo actually won first place, as well as our program, which is just an amazing job for the festival that they put together. Both of those won first place. So tremendous accolades for the communication staff and everything they do to get recognized on a state level for their work. Glad to see that happen. Makes the festival look good. Makes the county look good. Paid advertising, we've done some paid advertising in the third quarter in the Orlando Sentinel, in AAA Living South, and this fall we had our ad in the Allegiant Airlines Sunseeker magazine. You can see the ads here. Event sponsorships. Number of events in 2014, we had 72. We bumped up to 109 in 2015, and in 2016, we had 90. So this is through quarter 1 through quarter 3. The slight downtick in 2016 was a result of a change in the policy. So that's not a lessening in demand. It's more so some of the events are no longer eligible. You can see the numbers continue to be strong. We're averaging about $5,000 per event, and we're generating about 27,000 room nights associated with the sponsorships that we give out. And as a percentage basis, about 71% of the event sponsorships are for room nights. For the room night program, about 30% are for our day trip program. The day trip is more of the spectator-based, where we put a match on advertising. Reminder, Wings and Wildflowers Festival is this weekend. Starts Friday. It'll be at Venetian Gardens in Leesburg. This year, we switched it up a little bit. We have an increased partnership with the city. The city is in charge of the on-site logistics, and the county is in charge of all of the marketing and the birding and the wildflower side of things. So we're still doing all of the classes and the field trips and the keynote speakers. And the city has worked on the on-site logistics, the exhibit hall, and things of that nature. Great thing that was done this year. Again, communication staff and our tourism staff, they put out a request for photos of birding, wildflowers, anything in Lake County. You've got a copy of this as well. And the goal was to get those. We were going to select the top 13 and put them in a calendar. So here's the calendar for the Wings and Wildflowers Festival. We had 200 submissions. I believe the Leesburg Center for the Arts did the voting on the pictures. So you can see these are all photos that were taken of natural habitats in Lake County over the last year, and really excited about that calendar, and we're going to have them available at the festival. We do have an increased interest from sponsors this year. We're up from 14 to 16 paid sponsors, and a little bit increase on the dollar side. Notable events in the third quarter, the Rocks Volleyball Series National Championship. That was out at Hickory Point Beach. That was the largest event to date from a numbers perspective. We had the Florida Half Century Senior Softball Championship, Division III Men's Golf. We had a bowling championship, Mount Dora Seafood Festival, Hydrocross Nationals, Sunshine State Senior Women's Golf Championship. You can see a diverse array of events that are coming to Lake County that we're associated with and helping bring here. In terms of event recruitment success, we've really tried to ramp up our efforts there. As you know, we won the 2017 Canoe Kayak Sprint National Championship. That's going to be about 1,000+ room nights. That was a great team effort between our group, the Central Florida Sports Commission, and the city of Claremont. We won the NAIA Softball World Series, the Walmart FLW Tour, 1,000+ room nights, the Bassmaster Southern Open, that's going to be 1,200+ room nights. Bass Pro Shops Big Bass Tour is coming back. That's formerly the Oakley Tour. That's 600 anglers from all over the state of Florida will be here for 2 days. The inaugural Sunshine State Athletic Conference State Championship. And then I put this on there. This is a little bit different, but the Mount Dora Christmas celebration. Mount Dora is looking to expand what they've done for Christmas, and they want to become the place for Christmas in all of Florida. So we're working with them on how do we brand Mount Dora as that Christmas location. They've already got a good start, and we're hoping to help them get across the finish line there. Notable bids submitted. So these are bids that are out that we're waiting for results on. NCAA Beach Volleyball National Championship in 2019 through 2022. Division II and Division III Men's and Women's Golf Championships, U.S. Rowing Masters National Championship, NJCA, it's a National Junior College Softball World Series, and Division II Women's Softball Championship. So a lot of bids out there. Central Florida Sports Commission is very helpful in helping us put all these bids together, and they're the ones that actually submit them. On the capital project side, we had one capital project application come in this cycle. It was from the city of Claremont for their Victory Point project. It's a $1.5 million renovation to Waterfront Park that will become the epicenter for triathlons and waterfront events. They have requested $700,000. Tomorrow will be the first TDC hearing. The second TDC hearing is on October 31st, and then we'll bring that back to the BCC with their recommendation on November 8th. An update on the Welcome Center. The BCC approved the Welcome Center surplus on June 7th. The City of Groveland did express an interest in purchasing the building for the purposes of locating a new fire station. On September 30th, a purchase agreement was sent to the City of Groveland for review. The city has 90 days to indicate whether they want to move forward, and if they do not want to move forward, then we will look at that, opening that back up to the public for purchase. Hickory Point Beach Fieldhouse, this is the next steps that we showed you the last time I was here. So just to give you an idea of where we're at, we did establish the construction budget at $1.2 to $1.5 million. We brought on our on-call architect in Rhodes and Brito. We selected the construction manager with Evergreen Construction. And then we did hold our first design charrette last week, which went very well in talking about how we're going to build it, where we're going to build it. The Water Authority was there. A lot of different factors were there. Central Florida Sports Commission was there, as well as USA Volleyball.
Who's the architect?
Rhodes and Brito. They're out of Orlando. So the next step for that will be to get those final designs, take them to the Water Authority, and make sure we're all on the same page. And then we'll look to update the lease with the Water Authority. And then finally, a project that we're real excited about, the Lake County Disc Golf Trail. We've got 6 cities that have verbally committed, including the Lake Sumter State College. So we have a total of 7 championship courses on tap. Eustis is going to have 36 holes. Leesburg will have 18. Claremont 18. Mount Dora's got an existing 9. We're going to add 9 and then renovate the old 9. We're going to put 18 hopefully at North Lake Park on the Lake County side, and then Lake Sumter State College also has 18 holes. Again, this is going to be about $150,000 to $200,000 cost to this disc golf trail, but we're looking at thousands of room nights for this cost, and something that's going to benefit all of the cities in all of Lake County. So the next steps there will be to develop the interlocal agreements with each of the partners, and then to start designing those courses. That's my presentation, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Questions, comments from commissioners?
Excellent presentation. Appreciate all the work that went into the presentation, and obviously all the work that went into all of the different things that are going on. Just extremely impressed and glad to see that some of the things you've been working on for a long time are starting to come to fruition. Good job.
Yeah,
However, you may have brought it up during the presentation, the book, who did that for us?
That was Kelly's group, yes.
Yeah.
Is this something that, are we getting this out to our city partners and chambers and so forth so that
Yes,
they?
absolutely. This is we kind of rushed it to get this one out in
Yeah.
time for the Partners in Progress tour, and we're working on finalizing it now. And as soon as we finalize it, we'll have a whole package that have a folder with the ability to put print collateral in as well, and we'll get this out to all of the local partners as well as our regional partners, and then we'll have them available for any of the leads that come in and when we go to trade shows or whatever. Maybe.
Yeah, it's great. It's
It's a beautiful piece.
It's
Yeah.
fabulous. It's really, really well done.
Yeah, this is as good as, or better really, than what you would pay for outside.
No question.
Yeah, it's,
They did
our
it.
websites too, the same thing, so.
Very impressive.
I'll just add too, just a little more too about the rowing, just to let everybody know. There was supposed to be a major regatta this week, but obviously with the hurricane, it's been probably going to be moved to December. I think in Claremont, that would have brought a lot of nights a lot of people this weekend. I'm not going to name teams and schools and countries, but I know that Claremont is very close, and it's probably going to be a reality that this winter there'll be some teams training there for extended periods of time finally. So that's going to be some good news. I know that Claremont will probably want to talk about, and something they may need our help with. And Robert and I have discussed this as Claremont, that is in certain parts of that lake, setting up a no-wake zone, which will help them with that long-term training. So we're working with Claremont to try to help them succeed and be successful with rowing. So
Absolutely.
And we've also, Commissioner Campion and Connor, for your interest too, we've been working with the Eustis Sailing Club too. People don't realize how many people are involved. Now, we've been involved with them before, but we're stepping up our efforts to try to offer assistance and promote it for more room nights.
Yeah, and real quick to the leads, you said, so the leads, to summarize the leads, you're getting, actually, there's more that have come in to you directly, to your department.
That's correct. I think some of that might be a function of what's happening with EFI, Enterprise Florida.
Sure.
And they're kind of in a transition period. So where historically some of these companies might have gone straight to Enterprise Florida and now they're doing the work on their own. I think it might be a function of that. But I also like to think a piece of it is, we're getting recognized. We're now on the radar for these folks when they're looking at, okay, I know I want to be in Central Florida, rather than just calling Orange County. They're looking at the transportation networks. They're looking at costs, and they're saying, hey, Lake County's a place we probably want to be. Let's call them up and find out what's going on there.
So, you say transportation, the network and everything, but is there anything specifically else that they're talking about why they're interested now in Lake County? Is it?
I don't think we can point to one specific thing. I will say, though, which I mentioned before, is that 470 property we're getting a lot of interest in that right now. And from an economic development perspective, to have municipal-owned land and that's already has the land use, the zoning, the utilities, that's gone through the Duke study. I mean, everything we thought that would happen on 470 when we went through that Duke study is starting to occur. And I wish Mike Rankin was still here, because he could tell you as well. He's getting leads on his own that aren't coming through us because people are interested in that piece of property.
Okay. Thanks, Robert.
On the tourism side, I think if you look at the quality of leads we're getting and bids we're putting in, that's a direct reflection of the investment we made, like at Hickory Point, and just trying to promote ourselves as not alternative sports, but our niche sports that we decided to focus on, be it fishing, volleyball, disc golf. Our golf has always been out there. And so the Sports Commission, I think now, they've always worked good with us, but now they have a clear focus of what it is we've got. And it's easier for them to sell it. We're getting what Adam has done with the fishing. We've got relationships now that are going to continue to grow. These bass, and I'm not a bass fisherman, but these bass tournaments you're talking about are on TV, national events that bring in tons of money. Tons of money. Poor people don't enter these tournaments. These are people that are sponsored by major companies, and then we get all those free, I call them walking billboards, every time people leave from these events. And so it's just amazing that the mindset out there on the tourism side has changed for Lake County in the last several years.
And along those lines, with the Partners for Success tour that we did with Mayor Buddy Dyer, the Orlando brand is a sports superpower essentially, and so one thing that again I can't relay enough how important it was to have that dialogue with Orlando was that they're going to get the sports events like the ACC championship, the major events, the NBA, everything, but being part of that brand of being a sports superpower, we're included with that. We get to do our niche sports like you said, and capitalize on that. So, and that's something that I think is important for all the cities to know. It's being a part of that regional aspect is really going to help them too. So,
and that came from him reaching out to us, wanting to make sure that they're utilizing what we are to help generate, even if it's for them. They understand the importance of what we have to offer out here to try to attract the major things that they try to attract, and some of the mid majors that maybe we're going to be able to do.
Mm-hmm. Okay, any other questions? Excellent job, Robert. Thank you.